Welcome to another episode with Marissa and I. In this next video, this is a raw video. She is getting ready, and it was a pre chat. So there was some really good information that came on, and I think everyone needs to hear it. We talk about the darkness and should you have compassion for the darkness, and how we have compassion or not compassion. We talk about false matrix. We talk about why do we snack so much during the day or at night. See if any of this resonates with you. So we hope that you enjoy. This is a really cool thing. Uh was going down this, on that class that we're taking, the healing path, like, and watching other videos too, more
Yeah.
embracing the dark side. What they were saying was, if you think about your inner child, of course, is like, if you imagine like the center, because you're trying to go into your heart. Well, you want to go into your heart space to heal, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that those of us that are very conscious and know, for me, like, I love to be out of body. I love to venture out. I know that I can. So I literally can meditate and I can go places. Like, I can go to the beach, I can go, whatever I need to do. And it's very easy. I can even go off planet really easy. And I think a lot of us light
So, like,
workers,
astro-
yeah, I think a lot of us light workers are hanging outside of the body instead of inside the body. And what I found was, and this was an epiphany the other day, this is why I have to snack so much, is whenever I catch myself, and it's almost like I feel like, I guess you can label the emotion bored. Um, and
Oh,
I found myself kind of like here, like hanging outside the body because I just don't want to feel into like the 3D. And
that
so I'm out here, and what I do is when I snack, the snacking grounds me, right? And
makes so much sense. Holy crap.
yeah, that's what popped in my head the other night, because I'm like, why do I have to snack at night? So I've been trying to get healthy snacks, like nuts and raisins
Me
and
too. I did the same thing. I
yeah,
literally just went grocery shopping. That's so funny.
yeah. And so that's what I've noticed is like the snacking. And so I even asked my, kind of like went within, and I'm like, is that what I'm doing? Is it because I don't want to be in body? Well, then I saw a video that was actually talking about that even more. And it's because, so I did not know this. So, they always say like there's a speck of our soul within, right? But the thing is, our actual soul is around us. That's
Mhm.
what, we have five bodies. And I learned this in one of my hypnotherapy classes. So I didn't know that either until I took that course. And then that's where all the emotions get stuck. So you've got the mental body, the physical body, the emotional body. Then you've got your spiritual body and your etheric body, right? So um, the spiritual body is where your soul actually sits, but only a little speck of it goes inside the physical vehicle. But the thing is, when you're not connecting the two together, that is what fractionates, and it's almost like a separation. And it causes anxiety and it causes abandonment within itself sometimes because it's not connected. So, you know how whenever I do spirit release and I do that alignment, so I align your soul to the body,
Yeah.
the physical, this false matrix that we're stuck in. So, you know how the earth is tilted 26.5 degrees or whatever?
Yeah.
Well, the false matrix made it tilt, and that's part of the imprisonment part. Well, so is our physical body. Our physical bodies, even though it doesn't, we can't tell that, we're literally tilted. And I was like, oh my gosh, is that what they were trying to tell me, where we're not in alignment? It's because like our soul that is out here in the bubble um is not connecting in with the actual soul spec that's inside the vehicle, running the vehicle. And so it's almost like we're off balance. I don't know for sure. I haven't really tapped into it because I literally just came across that yesterday and I was like, wow,
Yeah, yeah,
that's kind of weird to think about, right? So
yeah.
I don't know. And I'm telling you, like I've just been all the things I've heard in so many of my sessions, it just did not make sense to me 2 years ago, year and a half ago. And it's just like little breadcrumbs that they've given me. But boy, stuff is just like constantly bleh, coming in, coming in, coming in, coming in. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. That I've already heard that. I've already heard that. I already know that. I already know that. And it's just been,
Total breadcrumbs.
yeah, it's just been blowing my mind that everything now is making sense. And I don't, I heard a lot of this in all my personal sessions. This is not like people me listening to other people's stuff. This was me hearing it in my own personal sessions, and they would tell me stuff, and I was just like, okay, whatever. Like it just, and the way that they told me, it just never made sense. But boy, is it making sense now. I'm like, holy crap, so freaking weird.
So freaking cool. I love when you get breadcrumbs and you like even like the breadcrumbs you don't even realize the breadcrumbs you're like, oh, like you don't really know much about that. And you're like, oh, okay. But then like years later, or even months later or whatever, you're just like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, it's been.
Do you ever wonder if like if you saw that if you never had that breadcrumb, would you think that it's something that like you would have been able to accept? Or not like or fully not accept but like comprehend? Like
No,
you think breadcrumbs is a way of like kind of like giving us like a little bit of information for us to just ponder on and just like in our subconscious kind of like it's there to kind of just play around, I guess. So when
well,
we get all the information, it's
the things that I've discovered recently has been, if I were to know the things that I know right now, then it would have made me go low vibrational for a while because I would have pondered on it and I'd have been
mm,
mad about it. And I was not ready for all of that. So the way I look at it is, and this is what I learned in Dolores Cannon's class, was sometimes information can be poison. Like too much information could be poison.
mm-hmm.
And so like when you do sessions, and the higher self will say they're not ready, or things need to happen organically and they won't tell you things, it's because if you were to know about it right then, it would either change your mind, it would, you know, make you mad, and they already see what could happen if they told you that information. And sometimes they don't tell you because they need you to use your free will to navigate whatever's to come, because they can't impede on that. So if they tell you certain things, it will actually change the direction in which you go.
Mm.
With that, if I would have known about um the prison planet, if I'd have known about this false matrix, if I would have known about what I know in depth of these attachments, I probably would have freaked out. I don't even think I would be where I'm at in growth wise, like in acceptance and even compassionate for the dark side, because I I know that we're all from source, and they just got a little too happy with what they were doing. If you imagine when you have almost everything in your mindset, and you can manipulate a species to do the heavy work. I mean, why not? And in the grand scheme of things, because we can go into that negativity, but it's like, I mean, we're eternal beings, so it kind of makes sense why God let all this happen, because we all will have this. Every single one of the beings that are watching, that are a part of this, that are helping, that are guiding, this is all getting stored in all of our DNA. And yes, there's an akashic records for Earth, but there's also, I don't know what, there's a name for it, like there's probably a cosmic record, I don't know what the name of it is, where all of that happens in the universe gets stored too. So all of this is going to be remembered. um and so it doesn't even bother me. And I think if If I'd have known some of this stuff a long time ago, I don't think I would be ready. And I don't think I would take on this mission as far as like help in the darkness, go back to the light because it means so much more to me because I know ultimately they're my brothers and sisters, regardless of how dark they've played. I just feel like to me, it's just one of those, when you watch movies and you have like these actors and once they play this one part, you can't unsee them playing that one part and sometimes it ruins them. You're like, oh God, I cannot believe they played that part. And it like scars you from watching some of their content because you're like, whoa, that was a little deep, right? That's kind of how I feel about them. That's where they in my mindset. That's where they are and I'm like, y'all played your part. We learned a lot of lessons from doing this and I'm okay with it, you know. And I just have more compassion for it. I think it's really cool. And I'm grateful that my higher self knows because, they can see it ahead of time. So it's just like, thank goodness that there's somebody else in charge because the 3D mind is just, we're not ready for a lot of that. You're on mute, by the way.
Well, that makes sense why I was talking and you kept on talking. I was like, oh, well, maybe she just really need to get that out.
I just realized you were on mute.
That's so funny. When you were saying, like about the movie character or the actor, I thought before you finish, I thought you were going to talk about there's like a bad guy. Like, have you ever seen Maleficent?
Yeah.
Maleficent? I thought you were going to talk about that, like when you have the bad guy, and then you see that like they show you like why they're evil, and then you kind of like get a heart for them, and you're like, oh, like that
Mhm.
makes sense, you poor thing.
Mhm.
I love those movies.
Yeah. And and it was probably created for that reason that we would have compassion for them, you know. And I do. I really do. I think that by showing them love instead of because they feed on our fear and low vibrations, but when you go and show them love, that's when things change.
I had a really hard conversation the other night with a friend, and she is older and has kids that are my age, and I was getting super frustrated in the conversation because she wasn't understanding where I was coming from.
Mhm.
But it's because there's knowledge that I have that I just wonder how to come across with I was talking to someone else about this, like with my words. Like I know all this information, but like
Mhm.
portraying it in a way. So I tried explaining it, but I think it's more of just like an understanding.
Mhm.
So with this being said, she's around your age, older.
Mhm.
And um she's having some issues with her daughter.
Mhm.
And her daughter is having some issues with me because I think it's like a jealousy thing
Mhm.
because of mine and her mom's relationship, which I completely understand.
Mhm.
But her mom's in this mindset of like, I'm not going to spoil her. I am, she needs to learn a lesson. Like, I can't keep on babying her and like letting her get away, which I understand. But the thing is that these feelings that she's having are coming from a place of hurt and not under being understood. And
Mhm.
so she is cleaning out her closet and her room. Like we cleaned her whole garage. She's cleaning out her closet and her whole room. And I was supposed to help her and her daughter, but her daughter didn't want me there.
Mhm.
Um, she is hurting for money right now and wants to be able to have more things to sell,
Mhm.
which is fine. I don't need anything. It's really not a big deal to me.
Mhm.
Um, but her mom was like, well, I gotta like I'm gonna make sure I get you stuff. I was like, it's really like it's not a big like I really don't care. It's
Mhm.
like let her have. She's like, no, I can't let her like just have whatever she wants. Like she can walk all over. I was like, okay. I was like, oh, well, if you really like, if it's that important to you for me to have something, then I'll come over before and I'll grab a couple things that I like. She's like, and then if but what there's so much stuff that you won't even see because they're like it's all buried. I was like, that's okay. I was
Mhm.
like, just let your daughter have them. It's fine. And she just really wants to like teach her a lesson. I was like, no. And and so then I was like, okay, you could just make a pile for me if you want. Just if there's something. And then I was like, you guys can go together and just kind of make it feel like it's her idea
Mhm.
to like so that she feels like she's giving. Just
Mhm.
because she's like, well, originally I told her I was like, don't even bring me up. I was like, I want this time for you and your daughter to like bond and have a good time. I don't even want me brought up because that's going to trigger her. And I like, I just don't. And she's like, well, you can't just avoid everything. I was like, no, but I'm not saying that you guys, but you need to build a foundation. You need to build trust. You need to build,
Yeah.
connection.
Mhm.
And you're not going to do that by teaching lessons constantly.
Mhm.
You can do that after you build a strong connection. Um, and her daughter's like a keyboard warrior, and so she keeps on like wanting to text her and all this stuff. And I have been very, I'm like, okay, well, you need to stand up for yourself. Not her daughter, her, because her daughter is manipulating her in
Mhm.
different ways. I was like, you need to stand up for yourself, but I also don't think she knows how to do it in a healthy manner.
Mhm.
um so she read me the text back and you could tell that she was like embarrassed because she's like now realized that what she said wasn't very healthy. And so I was like, well, why don't she ended up telling her daughter that she didn't want to text her.
Right.
And so then I was like, she's coming over on Sunday. Why don't you text her and apologize for what you said? That like you stand by everything you said, just the way you said it, and yada yada. And she's like, well, I told her I didn't want to text, and that's like being like doing what I told her not to do. And I was like, well, that's why, like, tell her that. Be like, hey, I just like I know I said I didn't want to text, so I don't want to reply. I just want to text you this before you come over so we can, be on good ground when you come here so we can have a good day and connect because I really want to spend time with you. And I mean, she was getting so heated. She was like, but my therapist is it was so funny. But that's what's beautiful about our relationship is like even if either of us like get upset or say something that another person doesn't like, we don't like hold it against each other. She won't
Mhm.
listen because she's a hard-headed mofo. But I was like, I'll just talk to you about it another day. It's been a long day. We've been doing this all day, and we have processed a lot of stuff and yada yada. But we haven't talked yet because I'm busy as heck yesterday. Um,
So wild.
but um, I when I after I have these conversations with people, and while I'm having these conversations, especially with like older people, I guess um I have a lot of knowledge, but because I'm younger, I feel as if and this is just probably just my insecurities projecting because I did talk to her about this. I told her like how I felt and stuff. I was like, I want to know if this is just me or if I'm picking up on energy because I'm really trying to decipher like what's my overthinking and anxiety than what energies I'm actually feeling.
Mhm.
So I like asked her and she's like, no, I don't think that at all. She's like, I look at you for, who you are as a soul, not like your age. She's like, you are so smart and um, have a lot of good insight and yada, yada, yada. But
Mhm.
it's been hard for me in the past, up until now, to
Mhm.
voice my opinion to people who would seem, because I don't know if this is my own doing or what, but I think a lot of people kind of think I'm naive and not very smart. One, I didn't pay attention in school a lot, but that doesn't mean I didn't learn in other ways. But
School's a
I
lie,
also don't,
anyways.
yeah, it is, but I just don't talk a lot about my knowledge because I don't have anything to prove.
Mm-hmm.
and you kind of, know who you can talk to and when it's appropriate. And lately, I've been trying to speak
Mm-hmm.
stuff more, like speak my truth more, and like what I've learned and stuff, because I know that like it's also, even though there's a time and a place and I don't need to prove my worth, but like there's a reason I have this knowledge and I need to share it to help people. So it's kind of just using discernment on
Mm-hmm.
when, where, all that kind of stuff, which is kind of challenging.
Yeah, it's always learning for sure. The thing is, too, though, I mean, I just did not
You know,
realize how many
I want
programs that were running with that false matrix. You know what I mean?
to.
That
Mm-hmm.
we're all trying to undo. What were you gonna say?
Oh, well, now that I have been, because I am a very big um advocate of like, I don't like talking shit. But then, so now I'm like, man, was I just gossiping? Or is that like was I sharing that with you for like a learning experience because I wanted to be feel heard? So I'm just trying to process of like, man, was that healthy to even like share that story? Because it's no one's business but mine and hers,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of reflected on that, like, hmm.
It's good that you're questioning it. Yeah, because that's how a lot of that works too. You know, you feel like you have to process stuff, and the other thing, we can kind of get into this later too about words, but there's been a lot of false light sprinkled in spiritual community. And I'm starting to understand a little bit more why people are so fearful of this of spirituality and the so-called new age because wow, the things that I've probably listened to over the last probably 2 weeks, there is like just like the Bible, right? There is a little bit of truth sprinkled in it to make it believable, you know? But when you're
What do you mean
caught,
by that?
so like in the beginning, Genesis, for instance, right? Where it talks about that God created heaven
I
on
know nothing
earth.
about the Bible, by the way.
Okay. Well, it talks about how God created heaven on earth and it was a Garden of Eden and all that. Well, that is actually the truth. It started out that way. Um, and that was what God would have called the God divine blueprint. That was the divine matrix. What we call now, we're hearing about this place called New Earth. And that was what was created to start with. Okay. But being in church from sixth grade to 12th grade, so I was in church nonstop every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night service for 6 years. And I learned that he was very loving, and then he became judgmental, and then he became angry that he killed his own people. And of course, they blamed it on, sins, and he was so disappointed and, fire and brimstone with Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that's a great fear tactic, for those who are following this. But I was like, well, how can, that again, that was start of my questioning, like, how can he be so loving? And then he kind of went bipolar. That's what I felt like even back then. And I was like, wow, golly, I thought he wasn't, he's a loving and forgiving God, but yet he's very judgmental over here. Anyways,
Right, yeah.
and of course, I'm sure if anyone that watches this would, have a lot to say about that. I'm just expressing things that I've encountered. Well, so what I've discovered doing this spirit release and communicating with these so-called demons, they they hijack the system and they created the false matrix. And whenever they say that we were created in the image of God, guess who the gods are?
Hmm.
The ETs,
Oh.
the false matrix gods. They are who we have. They've been wanting us to worship them, and we actually have been, which is so ironic. Um, we've been made in their image, and it has been said that there are, I've seen some say 20, some say 22 DNA strands that have been, that made us.
Altered.
That's why we are a hybrid ET, right? So we're a hybrid humanoid where we have, 20 to 22 strands of their DNA. So it ranges from Anunnaki. We've got, reptilian, Draco, whatever. I don't even know all of them. But here's the cool part. So I don't know if you've heard this in your spiritual awakening. There was this thing that, it kind of goes in waves, is what I've discovered. Were you ever told that you were an earth angel, something along the lines of that, right?
Mhm.
And that we had, so
Well,
where,
Earth Angel, Starseed, I think that they're all kind of the same thing.
okay, so what
I
that
don't know.
means is all humanoids, if you're a human, what had happened was whenever they created us, and let's say that we have, let's say 22, different ET DNA in our makeup. Well, the angelic realm heard what was going on with them, and they said, if y'all are going to do that, then we want our DNA put in there too. So the angelic realm came and distributed their DNA amongst all the other dark entity DNA in hopes that one day when we were ready to wake up, the light in the angelic realm would able to kind of dissipate the matrix through that awakening. That is brilliant. So,
What if that's the Kundalini awakening? Because listen to this. Because I wanted to have like more evidential stuff while also telling this. So um there was a video that said it was actually Jim Carrey
mhm.
who had said it, and it was the Kundalini is exemplified in the life of Jesus, living 33 years. We have 33 vertebrae. The Kundalini travels upwards as it ascends to the crown chakra. What it does is it sits dormant at the bottom of your spine, and then this oil goes up your spine and clears all your chakras, and then opens your third eye and your crown. Um, and It says some believe it to be Christ consciousness. This can only happen by crucifying the false nature, the egoic self, and resurrecting into the divine self. Early Gnostic Christians call the Christ oil represents the kingdom of heaven or being crowned with God consciousness. Yeah. So I don't know.
That's what I learned
Maybe
in
that
that
has something to
class.
do with it.
Yeah, that's
Boom.
exactly what I learned in that class that we're in. Yeah. It actually has there's three places that it happens, but we'll add that to the
Yeah,
video that
we'll
we're
we'll
gonna
get into that in our video that we're
yeah.
gonna make once
Mhm.
I'm almost done.
But yeah, it's been kind of interesting to learn about all this stuff in the beginning, and I have definitely a different, and I'm not, like I said, I work with these entities and I am not fearful at all. But the other thing is, and this is where people are going to get pissed off, I'm sure. We all have attachments, right?
Yeah,
Every single one of us, even the ones who think that they are,
completely cleared.
yeah. And maybe they have and didn't even realize, because once you raise your vibration high enough, they can't stay because they have to keep you at a low enough frequency to feed on your light. So there's like this bandwidth that they keep you at. So the more healing that you do, then you definitely can get rid of them. But we all have and they come in. I actually had a session one time and I asked this one being, I was like, how long have you been there? And of course they say before birth. And I'm like, how is that possible? So sometimes they come through from other lifetimes. So like they're there for learning, right? So if you didn't learn lessons from another lifetime, then they are like they don't they don't cross over because we are stuck in this matrix. So we go just into the astral. We look back over our life review. We're like, okay, we're going to come back and do it. So once you come down,
Do you
um,
listen to the Destiny of Souls?
mm-mm.
I just
but
wonder.
this, but they, when you come down, clients will describe it like a slide, like this black tunnel slide, and they come flying
Mm.
down. And this is, I haven't read anything on this. This is coming from sessions that I've done. And so once you come down, and you basically make it into this dimension, you then connect into the baby and they come in at different stages. Sometimes they come in at 3 months, sometimes they
Mm.
come at 6, sometimes they come in at 9. Sometimes they don't come in until the baby is all the way out. And then when they take the first breath,
What
that's when
if
they make the contact, right?
I just thought of this when you're saying it because just with my situation, I'm not going to get into that. But what if these entities, like, because everything's like a divine plan. So, like, for me, like, I mean, it kind of sucks to like admit that that was a divine plan because it was kind of an awful thing that happened to my mom. But what if these entities, like, attached to the mom to, I don't know. It makes sense in my head. Like, my mom got like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so like, what if one of those entities, because they're hanging out in the and you know, what if they like hook onto my mom so that I was then
Uh,
created?
that's, well, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Well,
and then eventually came to me. I guess that would maybe be a generational curse.
mm-hmm.
A different way. It's an entity, but I think that there's so many different names for all these different things that it's all kind of the same thing, but in different ways.
So
Weird.
this is another reason why, and again, I learned this through some of my sessions. But anyways, so once you come into the earth and you are here, that's when the attachments will come. Especially if your mom was unhealed, she already had, like, she's got a posse of beings around her if she's had, her trauma and she didn't heal it. So then you come into this world. Do you know that's why a lot of women, whenever they, especially if they have sexual trauma, that's why they have to have not hysterectomies. They have to have C-sections
Mm.
because the sacral demon that's there, because that deals with sexuality, the sacral demon does not want you to come through the birth canal because you are so much light that they want you to be cut out. Isn't that crazy? So the mom has to undergo a C-section for you to be pulled out of the body so that that demon can stay attached. But then, because she is wounded and you fell into that energy, because we are energetic, pure energetic beings, when you come into this earth, that's an automatic attachment because that demon then
That's
transfers to you.
that's crazy because I was just thinking about this the other day with my nephew and my sister and all. So that kind of confirmed some stuff that I was thinking the other day. But listen to this. So me, um, I was 2 weeks late.
Hmm.
2 weeks late. And my mom finally went in labor, and her labor took so long that her epidural wore off. So she had me like naturally, like, you shouldn't have an epidural anymore. But I just thought it was so crazy because my birthday, I think it's really cool because I'm a life path 9, which I think is freaking sweet. But my birthday is like a lot of nines and sixes, which 369, like those are really so and then I'm also like right on the edge of on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius. And so I just it's obviously everything's divinely planned, but I just think it's so crazy that I was 2 weeks late. Like that's a long time to be late. But like I wouldn't be who I am if wasn't born those exact days because of astrology. like, and all the influences of the planets and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because I am, I, when I was younger, I was like, how am I a Capricorn? I don't understand. Like, I felt more like Aquarius like because of my way of thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which it's all, now that I know astrology more, it's all about the planets, and like it's not just certain, like, I'm, when I meet people, I'm like, can I just see your whole chart, please? Because your sun sign, my sister's a Leo. I was actually talking to her yesterday. I wanted to talk to you about this. I was talking to her yesterday because you saw that post on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister was like, I don't know why I had to bring that to Facebook, or not to Facebook, to the internet. And I was like, because I can. But then I also felt like so much shame. I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I? Like, no, it's nobody's business. And now I feel super vulnerable. And but then I'm also like, you know what? Fuck it. This is also another way for me to challenge myself to not care what anybody else thinks.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, like, it doesn't matter. And that's why I'm feeling ashamed, because I'm like, what is everyone else thinking about
Mm-hmm.
me? And so I'm really like, that's why I didn't want to even take it down. Even the second post, I was like, I'm just gonna deactivate. Like, I was like, I'm just gonna deactivate my whole Facebook. I like was having so many different emotions
Mm-hmm.
because I, I was like, I'm just letting people have access to my life and my information, and that's like, I just don't need to do that. So like, I have like these really like mixed emotions. But I was talking to my sister. Um, I needed to use her car, or needed to return her. I was saying when she wanted, like, if she needed me to pick her up or whatever, because I have her car. And she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah." It's 10:10. Um, she's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I sat there for a second. I was like, "No, you know what? No, actually, I am upset with you." And I was like, "I don't want to upset you, but I think it's healthy for me to voice like how I'm feeling, because otherwise you're not going to know, and then it's going to lead to me resenting you, and I don't want to do that. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to say it, and it's up to you if you want to act upon anything, or how you do what you do with this information is up to you." So I told her, I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to reset this clock. It's 11:11 on that one.
Funny.
Okay, so I just told her, I was like, it's just, the whole situation upsets me, because when I was in kind of a similar situation, you were on George's side the whole day. Have I told you this?
I
Okay,
can't
listen to
remember.
how ironic this is, okay? I don't care if it's on the internet, because who cares, honestly, at this point. Um, so broke up George, obviously the whole situation with his friend. Well, we went to a trampoline park, and my sister, I like, they have my location. She asked me who I was going to the trampoline park with. I was like, oh, just me and Ellie. Not that it's any of her business, but I just told her it was just gonna be me and Ellie. Well, I guess because I went to the one that's not close to my house, she wanted to know who I was going with, and wanted blah blah blah. So she sent her friend to go spy on me, see who I was
Hmm.
with. Mm-hmm. And then, because after this whole thing, I went back in text to kind of like just do some investigating. And I guess so. She ended up telling me that George was informed about this whole thing too. And then George ended up texting his friend and was like, "Oh, are you with, or have you talked to Marissa that same day?" And
Hmm.
he asked me, he's like, "What should I say?" And I was like, "Oh no, I don't know. It's none of his business. Whatever." Oh, we were sneaking around. And honestly, I don't know what the right thing would have been in that situation, honestly. But it happened the way it did, and we can't change anything. Um, Anyways, so fast forward. Okay, actually, we'll rewind again. So my sister didn't tell me that she sent her friend to spy on us until maybe a month later.
Hmm.
Um, mm-hmm. Yep. And then when she told me, I like told Taylor, I told his friend or my friend or whatever. We'll have to edit that out. Well, I guess it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. Anyways, okay. So he got really upset. And then after that he kind of distanced himself with like not like, hey, like I'm just feeling this way. It was just like kind of breadcrumbing. And then I was like, okay, hey, like I'm not comfortable with like how we're not communicating, like unless you want to communicate, like don't talk to me basically. And then he's like, I'm not gonna argue with you. And I was like, okay. And then he never takes me back. So that was like literally the things that like kind of put a wedge between us, started some problems. So now we'll fast forward to this year. Um, I didn't talk to George for months. And then when I came back to Utah, I found out that he was in my family group chat. I was not. That's fine. I know because it's mostly for parties and stuff and like that kind of stuff. Whatever. But he had been hanging out with my family this whole time. So I was like, okay, well, we're just gonna have to be friends. Like, that's fine with me. I don't have any feelings. Like, I'm not worried about like having to like deal with that kind of confusion. So I was like, yeah, we'll just be friends, whatever. And so we started being friends and we were really good friends. Like honestly, I'm thankful for it because we were able to talk about a lot of things that happened in our relationship and kind of really, I think for me to process some stuff and release it and have some closure, which is really great. But he wanted to get back with me this whole time. Like he just kept on trying and trying and trying. And then I cut him off and didn't because I was like really, really cold. Didn't
Mm-hmm.
know which way to go. But anyways, so I went to Colorado. At this point, I did tell him, I was like, I just didn't. Anyways, I go to Colorado. He goes, my niece has a birthday. He goes to the birthday party. So does my sister's best friend of 18 years, as she goes to all of my family parties because she's like basically a part of the family because they've been best friends for so long, right? Okay. So guess where my cousin's, or I mean, my niece's birthday party was at?
Trampoline park.
Yeah. And my ex and my sister's best friend ended up start talking. Like they already knew each other. They were both in relationships, and we I was a part of like the whole friend group, my sister's like friend group thing. It was a whole thing. So, I just think that's kind of ironic, don't you? Like, why? What
Maybe
the
they have a contract. You know.
that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, no, it's crazy because my sister has her friend group of like four, and then George has like his friend group, and all of these friends have like messed around with each other's friends, and all of these friends have messed around with these friends, and now they're intermingling, and I'm like, what is life? Oh my gosh, that's why I like in that first post, I was like, I just connected the two, and I was like, oh my gosh, like what is the bigger picture of this? Like I just want to know what's going on because I even said that when like I first found out about them like talking. I told George, I was like, because that's ultimately that's why I completely cut off contact. I was like, I don't want to come to family things. I don't want to talk anymore. Like we can't be friends. Sorry, I'm not gonna sit here and hurt. Like I do care about you, but we have done a lot of healing together, just being friends. And I'm hoping that you actually grew from that, and it wasn't just like a mask that you're putting on just to be in my life. But I'm not gonna sit here and watch you treat another woman better by the help of me and like sit and watch it. Like I want it to happen. I just don't want to watch it. Does that make sense?
Mm, must be a wound that you still have because
Probably.
it shouldn't bother you. So if
Oh
it's still
yeah.
bothering you, then there's
Okay, well we'll
definitely
go over that another day when I'm not putting on my makeup. Because I don't want to cry because I'm already feeling some emotions. So
that's good though. That means that that's something that That's leading you down a path that you need to clear. And guess what?
Absolutely.
That is why it had to happen, because it is time to heal, right? It's time to purge and
Yes.
let go. So all of that's happening for you, not to you.
Yes.
Quit taking it personal,
For me.
for you to
Yes.
heal, because
Well,
apparently,
yeah, that's what I told him. I was like, that's why I cut him off multiple times because I was like, because he thought I was in my soul. He said, he's like, I know you're my soulmate. I was like, I know that I'm not. I know that I'm not. Like, I can tell you that. And I was like, you're putting so much time and effort into me. And that's why I keep on cutting you off because anytime I like reestablish communication, which usually is because there was some kind of family thing going on or yada, yada, yada. Anyways, I was like, I don't want to block you from finding love, from finding your soulmate, from finding like being on your best path. You're so focused on me. Like I, and I have told him over and over and over, and he wouldn't give up. And then, so I think, well, now I'm looking at it, it's probably that's reason that all happened to like, yeah, I don't know. Life's freaking weird, okay? And even though, the bigger picture, that's why I always like to look at the bigger picture because it makes it a little bit easier to alchemize those
mm-hmm,
situations. The shit when you're going through it. But the whole thing is the thing that I was really worried about, because I know I'm strong. I know I can make it through all this stuff. Like I'm not worried about me. What I was really worried about was my sister, because her friend also, when they were younger, Janelle's like first boyfriend, she cheated with him and they stopped being friends for a long time. And that was really hurtful. And she has a past of like, if my sister's friend, if like she'll drop anything and everyone for love. Like
mm-hmm,
it's just that's the thing. Like she doesn't care about anything else, but well, she does, but like that's like top tier, whatever. Um, and so I was really worried about my sister. I was
mm-hmm,
really worried about how it was going to affect her friend situation. I was like, if they end up together, I'm and maybe we'll get to the point where I can do that. Who knows? But as of right now, I was like, I'm not going to go and sit around and torture myself and watch them be together. So I will not go. If they're invited, I won't go. So now they're going to have to pick. And I don't want to make you have to pick. So I'll just let you invite all of us. Like, I'm not even going to tell, like, I haven't even talked to her about that.
mm-hmm,
But, I'll just not go. But that sucks because then that takes opportunity for me and my nephew. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
So it's just, but the thing is that my ex um, lives with his friend and like rents a room from them. And they kind of like set this all up too, I guess, or like encourage it a lot. Well, we were looking through pictures. My cousin passed away. And we were looking through pictures. And while we were looking through pictures, there's a picture of my sister and her two friends in like ninth grade. One of those friends is George's best friend. So this is also like our things mingled. So Janelle's four best friends, and then there's George and his, well, they're four. Well, Desiree is my sister's best friend, and then Wyatt is George's best friend, and Desiree and Wyatt end up getting married before me, or they got together before me and George even were together. So it's
mm-hmm.
weird. Like we didn't even know that because my sister and Desiree didn't talk for like 6 years because of some drama. So it's just weird how there's like this intermingling, like whatever of everyone. And I'm like, this is so freaking weird. What the heck? I don't get it. And then
It's all kind of to heal.
Lexi, my best friend, dated or was with Braden, which is George's friend. That's how I met. So it's like weird. So, anyways, my sister, I saw a picture and I was like, so when me and George were together, because Wyatt was his best friend, I would go over there and I would hang out with them and whatnot. And Desiree kind of discarded my sister. Not I don't want to say discarded. It was just, um, I think more just she didn't think about it. George, she invited George over, whatever. I was there, yada yada. Well, since we broke up and stuff, she'd been hanging out with Desiree more. Um, And so when she pulled out the picture, I was like, oh, I bet it's so nice, like that you were hanging out with like your friends more and like I'm not in the way and no condescension at all. Like I meant it with like pure heart. And then she started crying. And I guess since, and I, because I cut off George, I unfriended both of them and then he blocked me. So, I didn't want to know anything about that. Even if it was happening, I just didn't want to know. But she even said, she's like, well, I don't want to hurt you. I was like, it's okay. Like I'm fine, whatever. And so she told me, I guess since Rihanna's been, they've been talking more that she's not been invited over there like it was when I was with George. And so now she's hurt. And I'm like, well, I didn't tell her that, but I called it. Like I knew that she was going to get hurt some way or another. And I even like had text messages to both of them. I talked to my sister about it, like when it happened previously, you know, like when I first found out like a month ago. Um, and I even told them, I was like, you guys need to look at the bigger picture here, like how this is going to affect every relationship in your life. Like you guys are just being kind of reckless. But it's also, I'm like, is this karma too? Because shit, from everything I did, and I didn't think about anyone else but myself. But I also am like, in that time, I was like, who cares? It's my life. I need to make me happy. Who cares about anyone else? So it's just,
That might be how
life
they
is
feel.
weird.
Yeah. Yep. Just got to quit taking everything so personal and heal from it.
Uh,
If it's still triggering you, it's happening for you to let go of and heal. And, these people are just playing their part so that you can let go of it, you know?
you know, I do know, but sucks in the moment. I see it now, and
Well,
I
that's
just want to
why
know the bigger picture. I just want to know, like, I'm also, I don't know if it's like a nosy thing or if it's just because like I'm a know-it-all, but like I just want to know all the information. And I don't know where if that's like a wounding. I just like even not even just with this, but like when I meet people, I'm like, I want to know all of your astrology. I want to know everything about you. I want to know your place on earth. Like I want to know your calling. I just want to know everything about you.
well, I don't know what that would
Isn't
be.
that
That
weird?
because honestly, all the only thing you really truly need from anyone is their energy frequency, and that should tell you everything you need to know because
Yeah.
all the other crap is just crap. It's all human stuff. So that's just my personal opinion. And then, of course, like I said, everything's happening at such a fast rate right now. And I'm telling you, it's going to get way more intense. And all of this is coming up for you to everything. I mean, even stuff's coming up for me. And it's just like, I'm looking at it going, wow, thank you for this opportunity because I didn't see it that way. I didn't understand it like that before. And now I'm seeing it in different light. And I'm ready to heal. I'm ready to let go of all this stuff because all these trapped emotions are no good for the body on any level.
Mm-mm.
So, but yeah, if it's
You
still
know, I didn't
bothering you,
realize that there was a like. I mean, I think deep down I knew there was a wound there, but oh no, we'll have to figure that out.
but here's the thing. Anytime you get triggered, that is a wound automatically. So, the way
It's not just
it
like being human. You know what I mean? Because, like, I mean,
it
you
is,
love
but
someone, but I don't know.
it
That's
it is to a point, but the thing is, so the more healing you do, the way that you handle it is where the healing comes in. I'm not saying like to be human, yes, you need to feel the emotions. But see, the problem is the reaction that we have when we're triggered.
mm-hmm.
See, you're going outside what we call the window of tolerance. So you went into fight mode, you went into defense mode. And that is causing you to make and do and say things that are not in your
Irrational.
character.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you are outside of that window of tolerance, you are destructive. You're going to say things and do things that you sometimes can't take back, which then creates instant karma. So you've got to, you know, So the
It
way
just,
that
I was feeling so many emotions and I tried breathing through it. I tried talking about it. And I was so mad because I was like, I felt so betrayed, mostly from my sister. What? Oh, and I never even got into that. I told my sister that. I did. I told her how I felt betrayed, I told her, I was like, have you talked to Rihanna about it? Like, about this whole situation, even just like a calm conversation, not like getting mad. She's like, no. I was like, why? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, I think it's because you're a people pleaser. You're empathetic. You don't want to feel her energies. You don't want to cause any problems. And you don't know the outcome of the conversation. So you're scared to even have it in the first place. And she's like, yeah, that's true. I was like, okay. I was like, but I think it's important. Like, if I, if it were me, I would go to my friend and be like, this is hurting my sister. Like, do you see this? Like, I would defend my sister like no other because I stick up for people I love. I will not let people hurt them. And ultimately it's up to Rihanna if she wants to,
hmm
but that also might be a wondering I have. I don't know.
yeah, cause see, like, I don't know. I guess cause I've done so much of that work, that stuff does not bother me anymore. Like if I were to, and I've even said this, and I guess again,
See, but
it
like,
has to do with
see,
healing. If my husband decided that he wanted to be with another woman right now, I would wish him well and I would love him still, but I would love him from a soul level and not a romantic level, and I could let him go. I've had so many people, when I say that, it triggers the fuck out of them, and
see,
they are
I
literally like, you know, why would you do that? What if it was with your best friend? I'm like, I just feel, even if it were, let them be, because I'm not going to, I am at such a good place with who I am at this moment. This is my last
I
earth
think
life.
the right. I think that like it's not me like it's not as much triggering me that he's like with someone else as much as the betrayal of like feeling. I think it's more of feeling like they don't care about my feelings. I think that because my whole
But
life I
why
just have
should they?
always,
In all honesty, why
and
should
honestly,
they
right, yeah,
care? Because if they feel a connection and they want to act on that connection, who are you to stop that connection?
literally me last year.
So, I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Like, people,
Ah!
we're soul family, and we get pulled together for reasons, and things have to play out, and we can't stop no matter who they are. And you
So
can't
ridiculous.
and you
Well,
can
maybe that is exactly karma. Literally just showing me the other side of exactly what I did. And there's no right or wrong for either of them.
right?
It's just like, because I used to think karma was like such a bad thing, but it's literally just balancing the scales. So it's like, hey,
Yeah.
Marissa, like,
Mhm.
here, I'm going to show you what it feels like to be on the other side of this, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And it's just, I mean, when you look at it like that, it's like it's really beautiful how, we're able to, instead of having to come back and do this in a different life, you're actually able to see it now, which is
Yeah, that's
really
beautiful.
cool. Yeah. But the thing is, though, when you start getting through these triggers, how you handle it is where key is.
The
So,
lesson, yeah.
I'm not saying not to feel into the emotions, because holy crap, you don't want to suppress that. What I'm saying is, when that happens, instead of, lesson learned, maybe not put it on Facebook, maybe not even going to confront other people until you've stood back and kind of go, wait a minute, let me just pause. What emotions am I feeling? Because this is about your journey, not about anybody else. This ain't got nothing to do with anybody else. When you start pulling other people, you start getting into gossip, and gossip is not good for anyone. But whenever you see what's going on and operate from a window of healthy coping skills, go meditate on it, go journal it, go feel into it, go by yourself, scream it out, and get to the bottom of, like, okay, why is this so wounding to me? You don't need someone else to feel into it, because when they are unhealed, they will go into reactions that then create your reaction. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You feed on other people's energy unless you're talking to someone who can hold space for you, and it's still you can do this by yourself because you're not always going to have someone that you can call up, right? Because again, that is
You
also
have better
a
advice than my therapist.
the fight mode, right? Because it's like I'm automatically want to bash somebody. I automatically want to talk bad about them. I want to make them hurt like I'm hurting, and that's not working. That's why we're
You know what? Actually,
stuck there.
I'm not friends with them. It wasn't even about hurting them. Well, I guess maybe it would hurt them. It's more that like my whole adult life, actually my whole life, I feel like I've just stayed quiet about all of the abuse and everything I've been through. That and everybody thinks George is this perfect person and like I don't know, I have been villainized in my life when I am the one who's putting in all the work and trying to be better and ultimately when I was the villain it was straight up out of hurt. It wasn't
Mhm.
my true intentions, it was because people were hurting me and it was my reactions.
Mhm.
And so to me I think maybe the wound of even just putting on is just being heard, like guys, like I'm, if that makes sense, like I wanted people
That
to like
that is
see
really,
through their fucking masks, like
yeah.
through their
But
fake, but it's not my job to do that.
nope, nope. Because even your words, see, we have that energy frequency, and
But
whenever
then
you,
I'm gonna seem like the villain, or I could be viewed as a
which,
villain in that way, but I
but
shouldn't even
just
care.
don't even don't, yeah. And by not saying anything, you are standing in your light. Your light speaks a lot louder than your words. And you can't make people see what you see in people because remember, there are different versions of us existing all at the same time. They may
Mm-hmm.
never see that version that you see. You may be attracting that version of you for your healing, but they don't need that version of him in their reality because they don't need that healing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we have to, this is why we have to take it so personal with our own journey because we are flipping in and out of timelines, parallel universes all the freaking time. It's happening so fast and so random that we don't even know where we are in reality. So,
It's just there's sometimes when I guess that's something I need to work through. But like there's times where I'm like, okay, I know the higher route here, but it's not immediate satisfaction. And so I'm like, I just want to, you know what I mean?
that's the
And so I'll
program.
I'll consciously choose, like I'll even know. Like I'm like, no, like I'm not choosing that. Like I'll get messages. Like I'll be actively self-sabotaging by like not doing what I need to be doing. And then I'll get a video that I know was very much calculated to be sent to me. And it's like, okay, what about self-sabotaging? It's just exactly exactly what I'm doing. And I'm like, shut up.
Mhm. Mhm.
But like think about how much better my life would be if I just need to, I know that the core of it is I really need to ground more.
Mhm.
Um, but I've been so busy that I don't know, I just keep on making excuses and excuses
Mhm.
and putting everything else first. And I'm like, oh, I need to, that's why I want to move so badly. And I know ultimately, like, this is a lesson I need to put myself first, regardless of who's here.
Yeah.
But like, even yesterday, my mom started crying and got upset with me, and I'm proud of myself of how I reacted with it because I didn't even like give into it. She like started crying. I was like, I'm sorry, like, I love you. And then just hung up the phone. Like, it wasn't like I hung up on her, but like, we just ended the conversation. But she was like getting upset with me because I'm not planning on getting a job. But I also haven't shared with her like that I've been doing classes and that like all of my plans because
Mhm.
I did in the beginning that I wanted to do that and they kind of doubted me. And so I'm just like, it's not, I don't need to share with them because I don't want to even know any of their doubt. It's none of their business. And so she got upset because she's like, well, we all have to work and you're living here for free, and kind of like held stuff over my head, and you use my car and this and that. And So I was just like, I need to get it. And then I told her, I was like, I was like, if you're gonna hold stuff over my head, like I was like, I really appreciate everything you do for me. I really do. Like I really, really do. I am very grateful for my life. But if you're gonna hold it over my head, then I will find somewhere else to go because I don't need it being held over my head.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, where are you gonna go? Are they gonna do this for you? Are they gonna do this for you? And I was like, I don't know. I would figure it out. I don't know because I think she probably thought that like I'd go move in with like Sandra or something, which is not the case. I don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to ruin our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I would most likely just move to New Mexico. I don't know how I would get all my stuff there because I'm sure my family wouldn't help me like move there, like
Mm-hmm.
transport there, but I would figure it out. I would figure it out. We're never ever stuck.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to be creative of how you get out.
Mm-hmm. That's right. For sure.
And so it's just, I don't know. With my sister, oh, so I told my sister, I was like, I'd really appreciate it if you could talk to Rihanna and just have a conversation. I was like, I'm not saying you have to cut her off. I just think that it would be healthy for you to tell her how you feel, how it's affecting you, and all the kind of stuff. So then she knows. So then she can make conscious decisions on whether this is good for her or not in all aspects of her life. Because it's communication. I just think that communication's healthy without having any expectation of like what the outcome is going to be, just voicing your opinion because it deserves to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, yeah, I don't want to do that. I was like, okay, well, that's up to you. That's all on you. But um, that hurts me that you don't even like. I just kind of view it selfish, and that could be just my own wedding too. I just think it's like you're avoiding talking about something to your friend because you're. I get it. Like I understand. That's why I'm not like upset with her. I'm upset because I feel hurt and betrayed like that. I'm not feel like I don't feel like I'm good enough in their eyes, but I'm good enough for me. You know what I mean? So like I have
Well,
to remind myself of like my worth. Like I don't have to, I don't know. It's like I feel like right now there's so many contradicting things in my life that's like just really challenging a lot of my beliefs and I don't know what's right. And my whole life, I don't think there is any right, but my whole life, I have always been like the good girl for the most part in my own ways. We all have our own moral compasses and stuff, but like I've always tried to like stay on the right path and like do what's right and like be like the perfect person. And so it's like really contradicting everything because there's no right or wrong and all this. And there's so many thoughts in my head, I can't even like get them out into words and it's overwhelming sometimes because I just want to talk about all these things and figure out what's right. And I'm like, I don't. Maybe it's just breadcrumbs and I'll figure it out on the way. I don't know.
two things popped up.
Yes.
First thing, what if this just popped in my head? What if it has nothing to do with any of them, but there is trapped betrayal from childhood that this is triggering from childhood? Okay, so it's
For
not even
me,
related to them at all. So there is trapped betrayal, and what you need to do is you need to sink into your heart and
I'm tired of it. Tired
ask,
of it.
where are you sitting? Where is betrayal sitting at? Find out where it's located in the body, and then ask the betrayal, what is the message? What are you trying to tell me? Why are you there? Just tap into it and just see what you get. First thoughts, whatever pops in, go with that, and find out if you can track it back. Okay, and then feel into, what does betrayal feel like? You now know what it currently feels like so you can process it, but see what comes up as when it started in childhood and feel that betrayal
Yeah.
come up and out to transmute it, because all of this is
I
triggering you. Okay,
yeah.
now second thing that popped up was when you said about my belief systems. Do you know that is the whole point of all of this that we're going through right now? We have to question everything. Everything we've been taught is a lie. Every single thing. All of our belief systems that we have are all effed up, okay?
I'm sick of it. I mean, I'm not. I'm not.
Y'all are.
It's beautiful. It's just there's a lot coming up right now and it's very overwhelming. So like I
Oh
think that's
yeah.
also why like I've been self-sabotaging and not like super like dangerous ways. Like it used to be like drinking, but now it's just like avoidance. But
And it's just
it's
going to get worse and worse. That's the thing. You either deal with it now
yep.
while you have these breadcrumbs, or it's going to be all at one time. And that's what, you know, how they say it's going to get bad before it gets better. If you don't do it when it's coming and you keep pushing it down, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And you're going to have these things are going to happen to you in the now moment to keep
You're
triggering
right.
you to heal. So do it now, okay? How do you know a belief system is not true or whatever? The only way you can do is you have to fully get into your heart space and feel into it, because ultimately your soul knows the answer. Because when you're thinking about it is ego. That's 3D. We are getting out of
No.
3D, sinking into the soul. The soul knows the answers to everything. And this is the connection that we have been missing the whole time. That's the whole point. When you do this class, you will make a lot more sense because it teaches you that too. So,
I'm so excited.
yeah, you just got to trust that everything is happening for you to heal, and it's showing you in real time right now so that these emotions are triggered for the healing process. Because otherwise, you wouldn't go back and think about when betrayal happened to you as a kid.
I actually did think about that the other day. Because I didn't like sink into my heart space, but I was just like, I was like, why is this triggering me so bad? I was the youngest of four kids up until the age of 12, and I got blamed for everything. And I never felt seen. Like anytime I would try to like voice my opinion or anything, like I was always like shut down. Like I was nobody ever defended me. Like I was always the scapegoat for everything, whether it be friends, family, like siblings, like what like I yeah, so I mean I'm sure there's more even in that, but like just in a general term, that's kind of what I came up with.
Hmm. Yeah, there's a lot more to it. And if you sink into it and you just allow, because your subconscious remembers everything. So if you just allow that to come up, you'll figure out the answers to it, because, you know, everybody's different. There's no guidance that I can give you. There's no, you know, any of that, because you came here to learn that part. So that's for you
Right.
to, you know, to tap into, but it'll
That's
it'll come.
yeah, it'll come.
Mhm.
And it might not be coming up right now because maybe I can't handle it right now. Not can't handle it, but you know what I mean.
Mhm. Yeah. It'll all come to surface whenever it's time.